Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Gayatri, your host, and today we move into episode 11 of season 3, Catalyze Your Self. And today we dive into when what matters gets ignored. In our last episode, we stayed with what happens when understanding is available and yet something in us resists fully meeting what is there. Today, I want us to place our focus on another quiet shift that can happen within us, another pattern that we can adopt to help us cope with pressure. And under pressure, we can start reorganizing our internal priorities. What is loud, immediate, familiar, or externally reinforced, or what gives us comfort, can start carrying more power than what we actually value, what is true for us, what is meaningful for us, and what is aligned with ourselves. It is not that we do not know what matters. It is not that we always agree with the choices we make. It is that something else has started carrying more power inside of our mind, our nervous system, and body than what matters most to us. And this is where I want us to slow down and place our focus today, because there are times in our life when what matters can start losing its importance. It can stop being the grounding inner reference point that it once was for our choices, for our priorities, for our responses, and in the way we are simply moving through our everyday life. And what does it mean when we say what matters to us, what is important to us? This was a question I spent so much time with when I was shaping the SIRE model. Because when we talk about what matters, we're not simply talking about preferences. We're not talking about what feels good in one moment and not in another. We're not talking about what is convenient, familiar, or easy to choose when conditions are calm. We are talking about something deeper. We are talking about our inner reference points that gives our life direction, purpose, meaning, and truth. We are talking about who we are when our choices reflect our most authentic self. And within the SIRE model, self-inspiration is the anchor that was designated to remind us of these inner reference points. And for those of us interested in learning more, I will include a link in this episode description, and you can pull a free resource that will give you an overview of the SIRE model. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. So let's go back to, what does self-inspiration mean? At its core, self-inspiration is not simply about motivation. It is not just about feeling energized. It is not about a passing surge of enthusiasm, a positive mood, or a reason to keep pushing forward. Self-inspiration is so much deeper than that. It is the inner source that is helping us remain connected to what allows our mind to choose in ways that are true for our own self. It is that part of our inner world that helps us stay in relationship with what matters, even when the outside world is loud, when pressure is high, when uncertainty is present, and when our old patterns would make it easier for us to forget who we are. Self-inspiration is what helps our choices remain connected to more than an impulse or a reaction. It helps our mind stay in a relationship with what we value, what we believe, what gives our life purpose, and what feels true within us. Because when self-inspiration is available, our choices are not shaped by what is urgent, expected, externally rewarded, or what gives emotional relief in the moment. They are shaped by our conscious presence of mind that is oriented within our internal reference points of our values, our beliefs, our purpose, and our inner truth. When self-inspiration is available to us, we remain connected to living a life that has meaning for us. It gives us internal peace, even under pressure, even in uncertainty, even in the moments when the external world is carrying a lot of force. Self-inspiration helps us remember what we will not abandon in order to keep life functioning. Self-inspiration shows us how we can live our life with integrity. Our values tell us what we want our life to reflect. And we sense our values most strongly when we feel most alive, most convinced, most hurt, most conflicted. If honesty is something we value, dishonesty will impact us so strongly. If we value respect, being dismissed will affect us so deeply. If freedom is a value for us, control may feel suffocating. If connection is a value we hold, emotional distance may hurt more than we can explain. There are so many values we can all be holding. Integrity, where our words and actions stay true to who we are. Reciprocity, where we want our care and effort balanced in giving and receiving. Courage, where we face what we must. Or compassion, where we want kindness, care, and humanity to shape how we meet ourselves and others. And this is why values are an integral reference point for self-inspiration. When we make choices that are aligned with our values, we know within ourselves that we are being true to ourselves. And then there are beliefs. When values tell us what we want our life to reflect, beliefs shape what we have come to accept as true. Beliefs give us what is true enough for us to organize our life around. Beliefs influence how we interpret what is happening, what we expect from people, what feels possible for us, what feels dangerous, what feels familiar, and what feels worth risking. Beliefs are convictions that shape how we understand ourselves, others, and the world. And it's something that can be deeply reinforced through repetition, emotional experience, conditioning, and selective attention. Belief is something our mind has come to hold as true enough that it begins shaping how we see, feel, expect, and choose. If we believe we cannot speak our truth safely, it doesn't matter if we value honesty. We may not choose honesty. If we believe love must be earned, it does not matter that we value reciprocity. We may overgive ourselves before we even realize we are abandoning ourselves. If we believe rest is laziness, we may keep overriding exhaustion and call it discipline. If we believe conflict means disconnection, we may start choosing silence over communication. And belief does not have to be objectively true for it to influence us. It only has to be held strongly enough that our thoughts, our emotions, our nervous system, and our choices begin to organize around it. So what does this mean for us? It means that when we are aligned with our self-inspiration, our values and beliefs are also aligned and not contradicting each other. And another part of self-inspiration is purpose. Purpose is our deeper reason that something matters enough that we want our life to move in that direction. It is not simply a goal we want to reach, a title we want to hold, and it is not an outcome we want to achieve. It is the deeper meaning that is giving direction to how we live and how we keep choosing. It's what we want our life to reflect over time, our legacy. Purpose helps us stay connected to more than what is happening in the now. It helps us remember what gives our life meaning beneath the pressure, beneath the distraction, beneath the many demands that can pull us away from what's important for us. It can act as our inner compass for helping us know what kind of life we do or do not want to keep building. And purpose is not only present in just big, grandiose, inspired moments. It is also there in our ordinary days, in our repetitive days, in our unclear days, because purpose does not need constant intensity to exist. It can still be there in how we keep showing up, in what we keep returning back to, in what we know matters enough that we do not keep abandoning it. Our purpose can be to create healing where there has been pain. Our purpose can be to help others grow and thrive. Our purpose can be to live in a way that reflects truth, dignity, or contribution. Our purpose can be to build, to guide, to nurture, to create, to protect, or serve in ways that feel deeply aligned. When values tell us what matters and beliefs shape what we have come to accept as true, purpose is what gives us direction to how we want our life to move in relationship with what matters and what we believe. And then there's the inner truth. Inner truth is what remains true within us beneath the pressure, beneath the role, beneath the conditioning, beneath the external noise. Inner truth is that deeper knowing that begins forming when our cognition, our emotions, our body, and our consciousness are in honest enough relationship with one another that something real can land inside of us. It is the complete picture that our conscious, our unconscious is pulling out. Inner truth is so much quieter than urgency, quieter than fear, quieter than what is expected. And because of that, it can be easy to override it when pressure is shaping our inner world. Our inner truth is the intelligence our discernment needs to make the right next choice for us. And when our values tell us what matters and our beliefs shape what we have come to accept as true, and our purpose gives direction to why something matters, our inner truth is what is actually real within us in that current moment, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, and not yet fully explained. But it is important that that information goes to our cognition, to our prefrontal cortex, so that the right discernment is made. Our inner truth is not always formed as language at first. Often it is showing up even before words do. It shows up as that unease, as that quiet clarity, as that sense of tension within our body. It can show up as grief, as relief, as the sense that something is off, or the sense that something is so deeply right, even before we have fully explained why with our discernment. Our inner truth can sound like, I know this relationship is no longer honest, even though I keep trying to make it work. I know I am exhausted, even though I keep telling myself I should be able to carry more. I know this yes is not aligned, even though it will disappoint someone if I say no. I know I need to speak, even though silence feels safer. I know what matters here, even though I keep organizing around something else. And this is why inner truth matters so much. Just because we can override it, soften it, suppress it, or postpone it, does not make it any less true. It just simply means that we are no longer living with a full, honest, connected relationship with what is real and what matters to us. And when we lose our connection with our inner truth, our choices can reflect fear, role, expectation, and habits more than what is true for us. And when we place these inner reference points for self-inspiration together, we can see how they impact our choosing of what matters the most for ourselves. And if you're going to understand how we reach the point where we just start ignoring our own self-inspiration, we also must understand what pressure is doing to each of those inner reference points and how over time that can make us feeling unsafe in just being true to ourselves. And it can start shaping the choices around what keeps life manageable on the outside. When we are under pressure, our relationship with our self-inspiration absolutely changes. It changes what feels safe to trust, safe to act on, and safe to live by. When pressure begins to impact our values, what often shifts is not that our values just completely disappear on us, it is that they stop carrying their rightful weight inside of us in real time. We can say honesty matters. We can still say respect matters. We may say peace, reciprocity, courage, or compassions matter. And yet, under pressure, what is loud, immediate, familiar, externally reinforced, or what relieves that pressure can begin carrying more power than what we actually want our life to reflect. And what once helped give our choice direction can now become quieter. And when we begin to choose around our values instead of from them, it's not that we've changed what matters to us. It's just that pressure has made us feel everything else is more important than what matters to us. Pressure can start changing what beliefs are most active within us at a certain point of time, also. Not necessarily by creating brand new ones, that can happen also, but typically by reactivating older ones, especially the ones we once held around fear, approval, usefulness, protection, survival. We may consciously believe one thing and yet under pressure begin living from something else entirely. We may say we believe truth matters and still act as though honesty is dangerous. We may say we believe rest is necessary and still move as though slowing down is failure. We may say we believe we are worthy and we can still keep organizing around choices around proving ourselves. And this is one of the ways pressure can impact us so deeply. It does not only affect what we feel, it begins deciding which beliefs get the most authority within us. And often under pressure, it is not the most aligned belief that takes the lead. It is the one that feels most protective in the moment. And when it comes to our self-inspiration, pressure can affect our purpose. It can make it harder for us to see our purpose in real time. Life can start organizing around being functional instead of what has been giving it meaning. We can start looking at what's next, what is loud, what needs to be handled. And little by little, our relationship with our deeper reasons, our direction that we want to take in life that gives it meaning begins to weaken. Not because our purpose has now disappeared, it's just that pressure has started taking so much of our internal space that we no longer feel like we are available to give our life direction. And then what once felt deeply meaningful can start feeling distant, as if that purpose belonged to a different version of us. And that quiet shift is so important for us to recognize, because it's a loss of connection to purpose under sustained pressure. And then there's our inner truth. And when pressure rises, our inner truth starts feeling costly. It can become harder to admit, harder to stay with, harder to act on. We can still sense what is true. We can feel it in our body. We may know something is off. We may know that something that matters more is not something we are willing to admit at this point of time. Pressure can make truth feel inconvenient, disruptive, destabilizing, or simply just too expensive to face. So we can start explaining around it. We translate it into something easier to live beside. And this is where pressure can move us away from ourselves. Not because the truth is no longer something that we know. It's because living in relationship with it has started feeling less safe than organizing around something else. We have started ignoring what matters to us. And this is an important shift for us to recognize. Because what is beginning to change here is not simply what we prioritize. What is beginning to change here is our relationship with ourselves. It can start feeling unsafe to say what we know, or feel unsafe to want what we want, unsafe to say no, to disappoint, to move differently, unsafe to stop participating in something the same way we always have, unsafe to let our values, our purpose, our inner truth, our beliefs to visibly shape our choices. If doing so alters how we are received, how we are understood, or based on what we may lose. And this doesn't always start off obvious, and it may not feel dramatic. All of these adaptations can be quiet, and it can be a quiet internal calculation. We can begin sensing, often without fully realizing it, that being fully ourselves may carry more cost than we are ready to absorb. And so we begin adjusting. We choose what keeps the moment manageable rather than what keeps us aligned. And this is where the issue becomes deeper than simply ignoring what matters, because many times what matters is directly tied to who we are. Our values are not separate from ourselves. Our purpose is not separate from ourselves. Our inner truth is not separate from ourselves. So when we begin losing weight for our self-inspiration within us, it is not only that important things are being overlooked. Parts of our own self is getting pushed further into the background. And pressure can make this feel reasonable, mature, flexible. We may tell ourselves this is not the right time. We may tell ourselves that what we feel is less important than what the situation needs from us right now. And when this is becoming a repeated way of moving through life, our pattern becomes that our choices are increasingly shaped by what feels safest to protect, not what feels truest to express. And that is where being our own self begins feeling unsafe. And once that pattern, that connection settles deeply enough into our subconscious and nervous system, we no longer need a dramatic external threat for self-abandonment to happen. That learned possibility of loss, rejection, conflict, misunderstanding, of disappointment can be enough. We can begin adapting before the moment even comes our way. And this is one of the most painful realities of pressure. It does not only create external strain, it can begin teaching our mind, our nervous system, and our body that our own self is something to manage carefully rather than something to live from freely. And that brings us to the close of today's episode. Today, we stayed with something that can be very easy to miss while it is happening within us. We explored how we can lose sight of what matters to us because pressure can begin reorganizing what carries priority inside of our mind, our nervous system, and our body. We looked at self-inspiration, which holds our inner reference points that help shape what matters, our values, our beliefs, our purpose, and our inner truth, and how pressure can begin quietly altering our relationship with them by making them harder to trust, harder to stay with, and harder to live by in real time. And we also spend time on the deeper consequence of that shift, that when what matters keeps losing weight inside of us, being our own self can begin to feel unsafe. And this is where this pattern becomes so much more than simply overlooking what matters. It becomes a growing distance from our own self. So, before we move forward, I do want to leave all of us with a few reflective considerations to sit with. Where in our lives have we lost sight of what matters to us? Which of our inner reference points feel furthest from us right now? Is it our values, our beliefs, our purpose, or our inner truth? And are they all internally aligned? And where have we started shaping our choices more around what feels safest to protect than around what feels truest to express? And if today's conversation resonated with you, I would love for you to remain in this work with me and share your reflections through any of the platforms you're listening on. Your insights and experiences continue to add so much depth to what we are building here. And I'm grateful to each and every one of you. And next week in episode 12, we stay with another pattern that can emerge when pressure starts shaping our inner world for a period of time. And that is when coping becomes the only option. We will explore what begins happening when our inner space to process, to choose, and to respond with pressure feels so narrowed that coping starts feeling less like one response among many and more like the only one available. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Gayatri, your host. And until next time, let us keep strengthening our mind, deepening our awareness, and staying honest about what matters so our choices remain fully aligned with our own self.